Hello guys, so today I thought I'd do a quick rundown of pretty much the basics of Yu-Gi-Oh! I know that a lot of people often want to play the game, they think that the cards have cool art and it looks interesting, but they just don't know where to start, so hoping this can be a helpful guide for anyone looking to start. So the first thing I'll say is if you do want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not like other card games, it's a lot more like fighting games like Street Fighter or Super Smash Bros. In most card games, you have your opponent's turn and then your turn, your opponent's turn, and you don't really interact between those turns. While in Yu-Gi-Oh, you're constantly interacting with your opponent. Uh, on their turn, you have cards that you can play, such as this the mascot now of Yu-Gi-Oh, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This card is what's called a hand trap, and it's basically a card that you can activate from your hand to stop your opponent from doing something. So Ash here stops the opponent from adding a card from their deck to their hand, special summoning a card from their deck, or sending a card from their deck to the grave. So it's absolutely fantastic, and it's that's kind of why it has become the mascot of Yu-Gi-Oh in the past few years for the modern advanced format that is the typical format people play. But this will be just a quick rundown of the basics. So to start, you will have your two decks, your main deck, which can be anywhere from 40 to 60 cards, and your extra deck, which can be anywhere from 0 to 15 cards. So the difference between your main deck and your extra deck is your main deck is the place that you draw your cards from, and basically it's where you don't have access to it at all times. So if you want to look for your main deck, you have to have a card that searches for the deck or sends a card from deck to grave. Pretty much a card that can be interacted with Ash has to be a card that allows you to access the deck. The extra deck, however, can be accessed at any time, and you can summon the monsters in it at any time as long as you meet whatever condition is stated on the monster. So that kind of just depends on what type of deck you're playing. So for example, in the Blue Eyes deck, which is what I'm going to use as an example here, for a synchro summon, you need a tuner, and you know a monster is a tuner because it says right here, if it'll focus. It says there that Ash Blossom is a tuner, so it can be used for a synchro summon. Whatever other materials you need. Now, the easiest summon to do is Link Summon, because all you need is to send two monsters. So for Heroic Seals here, all you have to do is send two dragon monsters to the grave from your field, and then you can summon Seals. And that is for a fusion summon, which is the purple ones. You need to use a card that says that it can fusion summon. So a card like Ultimate Fusion in the Blue Eyes deck, and then send to the grave, or it depends. Some cards might send to the grave, some cards might put them back into the deck. But for this, you would send the grave Blue Eyes White Dragon and any dragon monster to summon Tyrant Dragon out. So, and then there's one other mechanic that I don't have in the Blue Eyes deck, but it is Exe summoning, and it's one of the simplest. It's literally just any two monsters with the same level, which is indicated by these stars. So let me see here. So say you have Drolin Lockbird and Maiden on the field, Maiden of White on the field. Because they're both level 1s, you can Exe summon into a level 1 monster. So, next, you have the different types of cards. So, I've already talked about hand traps. Now, they are monster cards, so you can normal summon them if they're below level 4. But most of the time, they're just held in hand, and their effects in hands are used instead of summoning them, because their effects in hand are stronger than summoning them. Next, you have your other regular monsters. These are typically the cards you use for your combo. Just like in a fighting game like Street Fighter, you have button combos. In Yu-Gi-Oh, you have combos with the cards. So, again, just continuing this analogy to fighting games, that's what you'll be doing. So, here I'll show. So, Maiden is a level 1. So that means I can normal summon her. And the levels are indicated by the stars in the top right. So, because Maiden's level 1, I can normal summon her. And any monster that is level 4 or below, you can normal summon without tributing any other monsters. So, it would be, for a level 5 or a 6, you have to tribute one monster on the field and send that, which would entail you sending that monster to the grave, and then you can normal summon the guy out. But for a level 8 monster, like Blue Eyes, a level 7, 8, anything, a level 7 or higher monster, you'd have to tribute 2 monsters and send them to the grave to summon them out. So for Blue Eyes here, you'd have to send 2 monsters to the grave. And you only get 1 normal summon per turn, and that includes whenever you tribute. However, you do get unlimited special summons per turn. So that is typically how players summon monsters in modern format, because special summoning is really good. And for your extra deck guys, all of them are special summoned as well. So for the next set of cards you have is trap cards. Now, nowadays, not many people play that many trap cards. Typically, it's only cards that you can search, and it would only be one of them. Because to activate a trap card, it has to be set, and then in one of your columns along this, one of your 5 spell or trap columns, one of the 5 spaces in your spell and trap row. And basically, whenever you have to, you can flip it up during your opponent's turn and activate its effects. And usually trap cards will hurt your opponent in some way. And finally, we have spell cards. So spell cards are really powerful. You can use any number of spell cards you want in a turn, and all you have to do to activate them is play them in the spell trap, and then read whatever their cost and effect are, and then you can do that. So for wishes here, all I have to do is activate it, discard 1 card, but which is the cost, which is indicated by the semicolon, and then I get to add 1 level 1 light tuner, and 1 spell trap that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon. So that is the base. And then for the zones you have 5 spell and trap zones. You have your field card zone, which is where you put field spells such as Mausoleum of White, in the Blue Eyes deck, which is around here somewhere. So this is a field spell card, and so it goes in the field spell zone, and it has its own special zone, so you can just keep, and it will stay up after you activate it, while most normal spell cards will go to the graveyard, which is typically above your deck. So the graveyard is where any card that is destroyed by battle is sent, or any spell or trap that is used also gets sent to the graveyard. And then there's other cards that have effects that can send cards to the graveyard as well. And finally is the banishment, which is sometimes comes up. It's basically a place that cards can be sent to by other cards' effects or by their own effects, but nothing will be sent to the graveyard, to banishment, sorry, in the game normally, in its typical rules. However, there are a lot of cards that can banish. So that's the basics of Yu-Gi-Oh! There is so much more in-depth knowledge. There's so much more in-depth nuance to it because of how all the different decks interact and how everything plays against each other. But that is a video for a different day, because this has been the basics of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I hope that has helped anyone struggling to learn the game. So as always, thanks for watching, and see you on Saturday, for the Locals Update episode 3.